Hi, traders. Hope all is doing well. Oh, yes. How are you? Welcome. Welcome to another story time session with Oliver Velez here. I'm so glad you guys are interested in these things, you know? I really, truly am. We're going to give everyone an opportunity to sort of get logged on here. They're going to get their notices, their emails, and things of that nature. And why don't we just get some music playing in the meantime here? All right? That's cool. I know it's a bit late for some of you, but that's what story time is all about. It's about a bedtime story, you know? This may not be the best bedtime story music, but we'll deal with it. All right? I love it. Welcome. Guys, don't mind the please don't mind the glasses, okay? There's a method behind. Sorry. There's a method behind the madness here. I don't know if you can see in my sunglasses, right? That I have various lights because we're doing this at night. I've been trading for so long, my eyes are extraordinarily sensitive, right? And any light exposure, I just need glasses to support that sensitivity. In addition to that, I keep myself I keep myself framed properly by not looking at you. So I'm actually looking over here, although it appears as though I'm looking at you. So the glasses help you not be distracted by the fact that I'm not looking at you. I'm actually looking over here. All right. So, hope all is well. Thank you. You love me? Thank you. I love you too. Oh, sorry about that. Hit my mic here. Love you guys too. I'm going to try very much not to keep you too long here. But I want to quickly tell you how I want to quickly tell you how this sort of came about. I do my best to try to spend a good deal of time with my team, my traders, and inevitably when we come together, we're always sort of just bantering about the market, about trading, and they're always so fascinated with the stories I tell when I try to make them understand the past, and I want everyone in on my team, all of my traders, to understand the history. I believe that if you do not know where you've come from, you do not know where you're going to be going. You can't possibly know where you're going if you do not know where you come from. And I believe that in the same way that we want to know the history of how our families may have arrived to a specific country or a specific area of their country, we want to know the history of where we've come from. Not just our parents' history. We want to know their parents' history and many generations back. Trading, if it's something that is dear to you, you should want to know the history. I studied the history of markets. I studied the history of key players in the past to understand the field that I chose to dedicate my life to. And so I do my very best to make sure that my team members and all of the people that are close to me, my traders or what have you, understand that past from at least my perspective, and if you do not know this, I will tell you unabashedly and unapologetically, all right, that I'm one of the pioneers in this industry. It is, and that is not up for debate. I started trading professionally December 5th of 1986. That's not when I first started trading. I want you to understand that is when I started trading professionally. I placed my first trade in the year of 1981. I became bitten by the bug, as it were. I became completely infatuated and obsessed with the markets in 1981. It wasn't until 1986 where I had enough skill and ability to branch out and do it professionally for a living where there was no other means of earning my living. And so this upcoming December 5, I have clearly a career birthday. It's going to be my 32nd year in this business. And so by my constant sharing these stories with the attempt of having my team and my traders understand how you're able to participate here and what had to happen and the sacrifices that had to be made by certain people and things of that nature, they're like, Oliver, these are so amazing. They're so captivating. We think, my team told me, that it would be a great idea if you found an outlet to share some of the stories. Maybe not all of the stories, but some of the stories that you feel might be motivating, because we're incredibly motivated by your stories. We are more invigorated. We feel more connected to the process. We understand more deeply. And that's something that should not be denied those who are not necessarily at a restaurant with you or hanging out with you, working with you throughout the day, and like that. So that's how this stories segment came into being. And as long as there's interest in it, I have no problem in sharing some of the things. So, Ray said, Rache says, I was born in 1981. See, I'm a dinosaur. I told you. There's very few of us left. Let's just say that. Very few of us left in the industry, guys. You've got a bunch of, new people who really have very little experience out there, and it makes it a lot more difficult for people who have a real true interest in taking this seriously to find the right person. It's just the way it is now. I did not have to deal with that, thank God. When I first started trading, there was no one. Now you have so many, it's very difficult for a novice to come into the industry and understand who or what is authentic. And you can't go by your cerebral process today. No. You can't go by what your senses tell you. What your eyes see? No. Instagram and these things have given many people the ability to paint a picture that's not true or authentic. The internet gives everyone the ability to hang up a web page, and you can create any bullet points on that web page or make your pages look or say virtually anything you want them to say. So today it's very difficult to find authenticity because everyone has a voice, and that is one of the powers of the internet and one of its weaknesses. Every coin has two sides. So we have to deal with that. So my suggestion is always that you try to sidestep the conventional ways of judging, and you try to go by your feeling. And that, especially in business, is poo-pooed. That is pushed to the side. Don't go by your feelings, go by your brain, go by your thinking. But no, you can't do that today. You have to go by what resonates with you, something that touches you very deeply, something that raises the hair on the back of your neck. I need a haircut, but I don't need a haircut here. I need a haircut here. But something that causes the hairs on the back of your neck to raise, something that resonates deeply with you, something that gives you multiple aha moments, something that you can relate to, something that makes you think, not something that appeals to your intellect. You can't do that today. Anyway, stories. Thank you, Gene. You're my buddy too. All right, stories. September 11th. I spent a good deal of the day reflecting on this day, like many other people who were affected by what happened on September 11th, 2001. It was a day that not only rocked America, as America experienced, New York in particular, of course, experienced one of the most heinous terrorist acts to ever be committed, not only on American soil, but throughout the world. It rocked the world. And so many thousands and thousands of people were affected by that, myself included, in a variety of ways, which I'm going to share with you. But that's not the only reason why September 11th is a day that will never, ever lose its status for me as being one of the most incredible days of the year for me. In many respects, September 11th is more incredible than my birthday, more incredible than virtually any other day. So let me give you two reasons, maybe three if I have enough time. There are many more why September 11th is very special. But I want to give you two in particular. I do not want to leave without these two. I started trading professionally on December 5th of 1986. 1988, I got my hands on a system. 7 other traders and I got our hands on a system called the Small Order Execution System. It stands for, it was commonly referred to as the SOS system, the Small Order Execution System. This was the first step toward electronic trading, which gave you and I the ability to place orders without a license, to place orders from a computer, to place orders without picking up a phone, and having a middleman between us and the market. This small order execution system, called the SOS system, was created to protect the little trader, because during the crash of 1987, many of the professionals backed away from the orders that little traders and little individuals were sending to the market. And so the little trader got destroyed because professionals backed away from their orders during the crash of 1987. No one picked up the phone to take their orders because no one wanted to buy knowing that the market would collapse, and everyone calling your phone wanted to sell. So what did brokers do and professionals do? They backed away from all calls, and no one was able to get their orders through. So Congress created a mandate in the United States that demanded that the NASDAQ market in particular, which was the biggest violator of their fiduciary responsibility during the crash of 1987, they created a mandate. You have to create a way for regular individuals to be able to place their orders without you. You have backed away. You have failed your job, so now you create a reason. You have tick, 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 X amount of time. I don't remember what time, how much time they had to create this. You have X number of time, and you have to present it to us for approval. And if you do not meet this deadline, we will have to talk about maybe dismantling the NASDAQ stock exchange. Okay. Hi, Australia. I'm going to get to the September 11th in just a minute. Anyway, 1988, this thing is sitting in a closet somewhere, figuratively speaking. The NASDAQ created it, but no one was using it. They satisfied Congress, but didn't tell the public. We found it. It wasn't me who found it. It was someone by the name of Harvey Houtkin who found this thing. But we were one of the first traders to utilize it. And I will tell you guys, this was the first step toward electronic trading. This was the first step to empowering individuals to be able to trade without the permission of the industry, without the permission of someone saying yes or no, without me having to take this person out for dinner. I could press a button and get filled instantly. Okay? I was one of the first SOS bandits, as they call them. To make a long story short, my popularity as a professional, a young kid professional trader, grew to the point in New York, New Jersey, Connecticut area to where firms began to invite me to speak to their traders. This is, let's say this is 1991, 1992. My popularity continued to grow. Traders looked up to what I was doing, wanted to know what I was doing. I decided that the demand for knowing what I was doing was so high back in 1992, 1993, I decided to consider turning this amazing desire into a business. And I went to an individual who was considered to be a god in the industry at the time. Very respected individual. We had become very good friends. He studied my trading. He did analysis on my trading. He wrote various segments of his books based on my trading. His name is Dr. Alexander Elder, the author at the time of a runaway bestseller entitled Trading for a Living. And Dr. Alexander Elder was fascinated with what I was able to do as a young kid in this business, in this industry. We met every Thursday with a group of some of the top traders in New York. It was maybe 5 or 6 of us. And he would question us every week and take notes with the idea of writing a book about the successful trader's mind. I went to Dr. Alexander Elder and told him, expressed to him my general idea. There's so much fascination with what I do. I'm thinking about maybe turning it into a business and just sharing what I do on a day-to-day basis and charging a fee for it, charging an educational fee. At the time, Dr. Alexander Elder thought that was a terrible idea. He said that, Oliver, you're a successful trader, you're an amazing trader. Why would you want to get into another business? Just stay with trading. And I says, but you're a trader and you have other businesses, so why wouldn't that apply to me? He just simply would not agree, and I did it anyway. Now, here's where September 11th comes. I incorporated my first company on September 11th of 1994. September of 1994, I went into business officially Okay. The name of that business was called Pristine Capital Management. Okay. Many people years later grew to know the firm that I started as pristine.com, or just simply Pristine. I started that company out of my basement apartment in the Bronx, New York. And 8 months after I started the company, I brought a partner on. The partner's name is Greg Capper. Many of you might know Greg Capper. And I grew this little company over a 12-year period into one of the most respected trading organizations in the world. We literally had hundreds of thousands of subscribers and followers and traders. Later, I went on to open up a direct access brokerage firm because so many of our traders who bought my research and subscribed to my trading ideas wanted to actually trade with us. So the demand for that caused me to open up a company first called The Executioner. Bad name. I thought it was a good name, but a bad name. And I changed the name Executioner to Master Trader. And Master Trader, Executioner, and then Master Trader became the second largest direct access brokerage firm in the nation. This is all the mid to late 1990s, all right? Some of you were children at this time. So here I am. Now check this out. Here I am. I have one of the largest trading firms in the industry. I have one of the largest subscriber bases in the entire world to a professional trading firm. Literally hundreds of thousands of people throughout the world. I have the second largest direct access brokerage firm in the entire United States. This, and then the internet era hit, right? Late 1990s, the internet craze hit, where firms were going public without any earnings whatsoever, going public, collecting billions of dollars. Their stocks were moving $50, $60, $70 a day. It was absolutely wild. Traders were coming into the industry and just making millions of dollars a month because stocks at the time were flying off the shelves. That all you just simply had to do for a number of years is simply buy anything that had any online presence, that had any internet related business. And it didn't matter whether they made money. It didn't matter whether they had sound businesses. Their stocks just flew up anyway. Okay? And so I began to think that, hey, wait a minute. If there are all of these companies that are going public, having their IPO, collecting billions of dollars to grow their business idea, they have zero earnings, they have no real sound businesses, but they're really successful from the market perspective. What about my business? What about Pristine? So I decided that we're making tens of millions of dollars a year. These people are making no money. I'm going public, right? So what do, guys? I began to hire a specific team with the purpose of going public. I hired a gentleman by the name of Alan. I won't say his last name. He probably doesn't want me to mention his last name, but his name is Alan. He was Lee Iacocca's number two man. Some of you don't know who Lee Iacocca is, but maybe you want to Google that, right? Lee Iacocca's number two man I stole from Lee Iacocca. He came to work for me. I put him in charge of taking my company, Pristine, public. Okay? He was an expert at corporate governance and organization and this and that. He began to fire a whole bunch of people that I had on board. He began to put a team together and get all the vendors we need, whatever. Here's where September 11th comes into play again. Now remember, my whole company comes into being September 11th, 1994. Right in the year 2001, no, in the year 2000, we get a valuation of $3 billion. Listen to me carefully. My little company that I started, you can see the pictures on my Instagram page, right? I built the first office with my own hands. All right? It was in the basement next to my bedroom in the basement. I built a spare room next to my little basement bedroom, right? This was Pristine's first office. We get a valuation from the second largest accounting firm in the world for $3 billion. I'm like, my God, we're rich. We're super rich. We were already rich, but we're super rich, right? Oh my God. $3 billion valuation. We're about to pull the plug, and guess what happens? The internet bubble collapses. Boom! 2000. All right? Major market hit. Our underwriters say, listen, big Wall Street firms say, listen, Oliver, you've got to hold back. All right? Hey, how are you guys doing? Good, good. You've got to hold back. You know, IPOs are cold right now. Market's taking a hit. We're not going to be able to raise the money we wanted to raise with your IPO. I said, fine. This is 2000. 2001 comes around. The market starts to stabilize and, you know, some IPOs start to do well again. My underwriters say, it's time. We're preparing everything. I am spending money at a rate I've never spent money before. These firms cost tremendous amounts of money. All right? To take a company IPO is literally in the millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars. So we're about to try this again. Take my little company, Pristine, little company, big profitability, almost 100% internet base right now. Very sexy, all right, to Wall Street. And 2 weeks before, 3 weeks before we were supposed to pull the plug, September 11th, 2001 happens. And I'll remember this day, traders, like it was yesterday. I came into my trading office in White Plains, New York on that Monday. September 11, 2001 was a Monday, traders. I had one individual waiting for me. He was a trader from Washington, D.C. He paid me $50,000 to spend the week trading with me. Okay? He paid me the $50,000 sum a couple of weeks. His stipulation was I was to have no one with us. He wanted dedicated time. I knew him for many years, so I accepted that. Otherwise, I would have never accepted that. He's sitting in the office waiting for me. He had driven 6-7 hours from Washington to New York that Sunday night. I had several big open positions. My biggest open position was in a stock called Altera, ALTR. I had 38,000 shares that I had held over the weekend. All right. Now listen to me carefully. Pre-open that Monday morning, September 11th, 2001, the market was indicated to gap up. It was bullish. Altera was trading in pre-open about 80 cents higher. So I was close to $40,000 in the money from Friday's close just with the Altera holdings. And I had about 6 or 7 other holdings overnight. I decided that morning that I wasn't going to trade pre-open. I normally traded pre-open every single day. That morning I decided I wasn't. Perhaps it was because my trader friend who had paid me $50,000 was already waiting in the office, and I wanted to really dedicate my time to him, not stare at my screen for an hour, hour and a half before the open. Maybe that was it. I don't remember. But for whatever reason, I didn't trade the pre-open. I didn't take my gains off the table. We know what happens next. About maybe 32, 33 minutes before the market opened, the Twin Towers get hit, and we're all devastated. We're in shock. My office, I had about 80 employees. My 80 employees, we all just crowded together and in silence watched all of the television screens. See, these television screens showed all the financial programs, and some of them were dedicated to just showing quotes, and some of them were dedicated to basically being the screens for the Bloomberg machines in the office and things of that nature. But we converted them all to the same news channel and just watched completely in silence. This silent or shell-shocked manner stayed with us the entire week. I felt numb. It was just surreal. I could not wrap my mind around what happened, nor could I even imagine what is going to happen. The following Monday, the market opens. Biggest financial market in the world, closed for an entire week. That Monday, we braced ourselves. I braced myself. No one knew how bad it was going to be. IPO is completely dead. That's never going to happen, I'm told. Just forget about it. Your money is gone. You wasted 2-3 years of preparation, millions of dollars done. IPOs never again in this space. They're over, I was told. Number one. Monday morning, the market opens. Boom! I was expecting bad. But nothing could have braced me for how bad. I opened down instantly at 9:30 a.m., $1.3 million. It was the biggest, most devastating, instantaneous loss I had ever experienced. All right, $100,000? Yeah, of course. 50,000, 80, those losses were regular. Not regular, but we can get that back. $1.3 million. I'd never been down in my entire career. $1.3 million instant loss, which eventually slid to $1.6, $1.7 million. I was shocked. I couldn't bring myself to act or move or do anything. I felt like I wasn't a professional. I felt shell-shocked for the first time in many years. I felt like I had gone all the way back to just being stunned like I used to be and rocked by my losses like I used to be as a freaking novice. And it took me back to that space. It took me back. I remember that morning calling. I called my wife and I broke the news to her. We've been talking about the possibility of something bad all week. I finally got enough nerve to break the news. I get on the phone with her and say, we're down 1.3. And it's getting worse. It's sliding. And she takes a deep breath, says, okay. And so, she says, what are you going to do? And I take a deep breath and I say, well, I don't know. I don't know what to do. And there was this long silence on the phone. And she says, what? Finally said, what? I don't know what to do. It's never happened to me. She's like, you don't know what to do? I said, no, I don't know what to do. She says, Oliver Velez. Let me tell you something. This is what you're going to do. You're going to sit down at that desk like you have sat down at that desk for the last freaking 10 years. You're going to grab a glass of water or a cup of coffee or whatever you need, and you're going to do what has made you Oliver Velez from December 5th of 1986. You're going to do what you were born to do. You're going to sit down at that desk, whether you're down $1.3 million or $1.3 trillion, and you're going to freaking trade, because that's what you do. That's who you are. What is this you don't know what to do? Get to work. Boom! And that freaking snapped me out of my... Yeah. I'm Oliver Velez. The heck am I? What? Yeah. I'm going to sit down at this desk and do what I do. What is this? I'm lost and I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know. Come on. Boom. Snap me back into shape. Now here is the cool thing. I decided not to take the loss. I decided that I'd already realized the loss. Okay? If it got a little bit worse, that was not the major concern. I'd already suffered the biggest part of the damage. So I decided to hold on to that position and to trade around it. So remember, I had close to 40,000 shares. Let's call it 40. It's 38,000 and change, but let's call it 40,000 for the sake of simplicity, right? So I started trading, and I would take a position for 6,000 shares. Boom. 60-cent move, 70-cent move, take my gain in that, come back down, take the 6,000 shares off, come right back to my original position. Okay, next position, boom, go in 10,000 shares of Altera, take a 50-cent gain out of that. There's another $5,000, boom, in my pocket, boom. Go back to my original position. Sometimes I would sell more than my original position and then build it back up. So I kept more or less this core position of 40,000 shares, and I would build it up a little bit, take some gains off, bring it back down. In 3.5 months, I chopped a $1.6 million loss down to $100,000. It was one of the most incredible 3-month developmental periods of my life. I am talking about trading with a level of focus and a pinpoint accuracy that would blow anyone's mind. That it was like that took me to a completely different level. That I operated on a wavelength that I had never penetrated before or experienced before. That the focus and the senses were so extraordinary that I could see or feel things with a finer degree of, I don't know, it was surreal. And I sat back with this $100,000 loss. I brought it to what I've experienced before. I can get that back. To me, that's not a loss, right? It's a hiccup. And I sat back and I'm like, oh my God, I've never traded like this before. I've never done this before. Where did this style come from? Oh my God, I just found another way to trade. And it's amazing. Wow. So I said, you know what? I'm going to give this style a name. And I called it, some of you were around. If you were around at this time, please let me know in the comments here. I know some of you here were around at this time. I called it. Can someone type it here? Maybe before I say it. What style of market play did I call this brand new way of trading that I discovered from my huge loss? It became one of the most popular styles of market play in the industry. Can anyone say that? Does anyone see this? I'm just curious if anyone here was from that era. So, Lester, you must have been around a long time. You're saying gorilla? No, that's not what we're talking about. Kamikaze? Getting close. Some of you are around a while. ATM, Leo. I don't know if someone said it before, but Leo Fib just said it. I called it, right, my ATM trading approach. ATM, for those of you who are not from America, they may not call it an ATM in your country. It stands for an automated teller machine. It's where you go put your card in and take money out of your account. And I felt that this style was exactly that. I was like, this style is my own ATM card, except I don't make deposits. Novices make deposits into the market, but I've got the ATM card to withdraw their money out of their accounts. Think about this. Professional traders don't deposit. There are two types of market participants. You've heard me say it many times. There are those who deposit. They put money into their account and blow their account, get a margin call. The broker says you got to put more money in. They put more money in. They do that 7 times on average. The life of an unskilled trader has 7 deposits in his life. So he's making deposits for whom? For those who don't make deposits. For the traders who withdraw. I felt like I discovered my own personal ATM machine without ever having to make a deposit. That I could put this machine, this card in the market every day and pull money out. It was my own personal ATM card. The market was the ATM machine. I could pull money out, but where did the money come from? From unskilled, untrained traders making deposits into their account 7 times. Wow. September 11th changed my life, traders. It changed my life twice. The day I started my first company, the level of pride, words can't explain. And to have grown this little tiny idea of mine, which no one believed in. No one believed in my idea. Even my original partner didn't originally believe in my idea. 8 months later. To have grown that into one of the most respected firms in the world, to have traveled the globe, to have had offices in Tokyo, in Korea, Canada, all throughout the United States, Caracas, Venezuela, before the political situation started to turn. To have been the most sought after speaker in the industry, to have been chosen as the #1 spokesman for our entire industry, to have brought my first creation to a legitimate valuation of $3 billion. In a crazy world, by the way. Today that would not have been the case, but back in the late 1990s when things were crazy and the Yahoos of the world and the Amazons of the world were gaining these huge valuations without making money, and we were making money, was one of the most special periods of my life. To have it end, to have it start on September 11th, and to also have it end. The big dream ended September 11th as well. The company didn't end, no. The big dream of this big, powerful, publicly traded company, yes. It started from a basement apartment in the Bronx, New York on Castle Hill on September 11th. And the biggest part of the dream ended on September 11, 2001. I would go on to leave my first creation to go in a completely different direction that my partner did not really have a lot of faith in. And here I am today, continuing in that direction. I believed that we were leaving the world of just educating traders and doing a Hail Mary after the education. Hail Mary, full of grace. Dominus, he's not going to make it, you know? Like, that started to sicken me. The idea of just teaching a person knowing that the vast majority weren't going to make it, and doing a Hail Mary or doing a prayer at the end of the event. I hope this is one of them, but still taking the money to educate them, which is nothing wrong with that. Education is not free. But I felt the next step was to combine the professional part of trading with the education. I had this idea that what if Harvard University, which I believed we were, what if Harvard University said to every single one of its graduates, not only do we believe we've poured the very best education and knowledge available in today's world into your sons and daughters, we're going to support them for the rest of their lives in any business idea they have. We're going to be not just their educator, we're going to be their bank. We're going to be their support. We're going to be their advisors. because you have chosen this institution, Harvard University, because you have trusted your children to us, and because we believe so explicitly in our ability to develop your children, they're supported for life. They're guarded for life. They're advised for life, and they will never not have enough finances to back their ideas. I saw this vision in the mid-2000s. I saw the new direction, that it was not just about anybody. The internet gave anyone the ability to teach. That wasn't how I started. No one, not anyone had the ability to teach. But the internet created the possibility for anyone, whether they were good or not, to teach. And I'm like, I don't want to be there. I don't want to be amongst the people who just anyone can do it. You know? I wanted to go the next step and not just teach and educate, but fund and support and advise and be there forever. And very few people saw, very few people believed in me when I started Pristine, and very few people believed in me when I took that next step beyond Pristine. And here I am, 7,000 plus traders strong throughout the world. We still have a long way to go, but still here, all right? And that's my story tonight. How September 11th started an era, and how September 11th also ended one. You know? I hope I didn't bore you too much. Sometimes I get into these things, guys, and I just say, man, what am I doing? Like, people want to hear about this stuff? Let's just trade. My people say people want to hear about this stuff. So, guys, listen, I think that we continue to be at the doorstep of a baby era, that we're only scratching the surface, that there's a long way to go, and that you are pioneers. I mean, I'm the pioneer of pioneers, but you're pioneers too. The fact that you're taking risks when no one still continues to believe in this. That I know that many of you go to bed every single night, and the very person that you put your head down next to sleep, the very person that you go to bed with sometimes, in some situations, this person is one of the most passionate people against what you're doing. I know that some of you are breaking bread every single day at your dinner table, and every single person at that table thinks you're crazy, thinks you're stupid for embarking on this dream of yours. I went through all of that. There is a day that's coming when that will not be the case. There is a day that when you'll be able to hold your head up high and be proud of the fact that you're a trader. And people will say, wow. That day is coming. The day where trading is so ubiquitous that everyone on planet Earth wants to give it a try. And if you stick with it long enough, you'll be one of those that many people look up to and respect the fact that you did it early, that you did it before it was proven to the world, that you did it despite the hardships. And let me leave you with this final point. I have a very long and rich history in this industry, and there are very few people who have the history that I have. Those who had it are gone. Very few. But let me just tell you this. Despite the fact that I've had this long history, and despite the fact that sometimes I talk about it in sexy terms, I don't ever want you to think for a moment, for a second, for a nanosecond, that it was better then than it is today. You are in this business the very best day, the very best week, the very best month that has ever existed. Today is better than yesterday. Today is better than last year. Today is better than when I first started. Today was better on all of the previous September 11ths that have ever existed. There is no better time to start or be a part of this than right now. We did not have it better. We did not. We had it harder. Yes, there are some extra things that you have to deal with. The internet has just brought a lot of nonsense. The haters, the trolls, the doubters, the people that try to infect you with wrong things, the shysters, the just the bad people. It has just given everyone a voice. You have to deal with that. We have to deal with that. That's the brand new world. But that's the only thing. Everything else that has been brought to the table today makes your world better. The cost structure, the technology, the access, the law changes, the rules. It's mind-boggling. You wouldn't have wanted to trade in the days that I traded. You guys complain now. You complain about the technology now. Imagine then. You complain about a little missed execution now and fault your broker for robbing you. That was everyday life for us. Systems going down for a week, an entire day. Losing tens of thousands of dollars and, oh well, and it not even being your fault. Laws that prevented you from placing your own orders, writing out a ticket. And by the time you finish the ticket and hand it or take it down the hall to your order taker, the trade's gone. Oh well. You're living in the best of times. Don't think that my past was the best of times. It's the best of times now. Guys, I love you more than you know. I love you more than you know. A lot of plans here, guys. Hit that subscribe button. If you have not subscribed, do it now. Make sure the little bell in the upper right-hand corner of the page is clicked. Do it now. I am dedicated to blowing your mind. You're going to see. You hang around here, and I want to prove to you that if you hang around just for even a little bit of time, you're going to be head and shoulders above the vast majority of people out there. All right? Thank you so very much for your time. Thank you for your little small interest in my boring stories. All right, we'll see how long this lasts. All right. Thank you for so many of you guys staying up for this. All right, well, we're at them tomorrow. I had to delay my trip back to the States one day. I'll be going back to the States tomorrow. But in the meantime, enjoy your night. For those of you who are experiencing their morning now, good morning. All right. Let's knock them dead tomorrow, guys, okay? Boom! Love you to death, guys. Love you to death. All right. Ciao for now.